Coronavirus, fireworks in Wuhan as checkpoints are taken down, other cities in China ease controls.
Here's a summary of the article.
The crisis would be over when people could come and go freely from the city, according to Wen, who referred to a joke circulating online that "We know we're healthy, they know we're healthy, but no one is brave enough to let us leave." Since Tuesday, people living in residential compounds considered to be epidemic-free for at least 7 days have been allowed to leave their homes and move around within the compound. People are still unable to travel freely around Wuhan. The entire city needs to be a low-risk area for people to move around freely. "We look forward to this day arriving soon," Wu Hao, a member of an expert team from the National Health Commission, told state broadcaster CCTV. If the city can also become an epidemic-free area, then the space for people to move around will be greater. The eastern province of Jiangxi, with a population of around 45 million, declared all of its counties and cities low-risk zones on Saturday and lifted all movement restrictions on people and goods. From Saturday, people in Hangzhou will no longer have to undergo temperature and health status checks in public spaces and on public transport, local authorities said. Meanwhile, in the southwest city of Kunming, around 1,200 people have been placed under quarantine after returning from overseas.
This post received a score of 20,892, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
That's around full 60+ days of lockdown-style quarantine. Crap, we'll have to wait for summer.
We haven't even started yet. No country outside China has implemented a similarly restrictive lockdown as of now. To quote the article, even with the easing of controls, people are still a lot more restricted than they are anywhere in the West.
The Philippines have. Korea and Singapore went about it another way using aggressive tracking and testing, which also appears successful. So this is doable in a few ways and many countries are doing it.
Take note on how long the lockdown needed to be in place. Everyone keeps saying 2 weeks, it's more like 3 months. 2 weeks is the initial lockdown time needed to plan how the rest of the lockdown is going to happen.
I just hope each state or rather the government makes this plan sooner rather than later.
The plan is not going to come from the federal level, that much seems clear. I'm watching the press briefing right now. He's literally just blamed previous administrations for not doing enough. I'm going crazy. I didn't realize there was a briefing on. I tuned in just in time to listen to Trump talk for 10 minutes straight about what this means for his hotels in the middle of a national emergency. Shame on him, and the reporters that bait him with this stuff at a time like this.
You can tell when they've started by setting a stock market alarm on your phone.
President pumped Trump hard at work. Soon to be 0 cases, I have a hunch, and so on. Amazingly, some people take his rhetoric at face value.
A worst-case scenario is that in 2 to 3 weeks, virus cases start shooting up again, and everything has to go back into lockdown. It is thought that part of the high transmission rate for COVID is asymptomatic carriers. We will probably never have a really accurate number of how many of these there were. The hope is that once you have COVID, you cannot be reinfected. This means that the number of potential carriers should be markedly down in any second wave, and herd immunity will start kicking in to limit the severity of the spread. For now though, all the world can do is watch what happens in China from the comfort of their own isolation areas, and hope for the best.
Asymptomatic doesn't mean the carrier is forever a carrier. When they get better, they no longer carry the virus. The quarantine period is long enough to ensure they got better. So all cases must be imported from now.
Greater than asymptomatic doesn't mean the carrier is forever a carrier. This is true, but assuming that a 2-week suppression period will wipe all local cases is making multiple assumptions. The hope though is that, even for asymptomatic carriers, that once they have had the virus, even if they don't know it, they will not be able to be reinfected, which will lead to some level of herd immunity.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.